We live in an era where seeing is no longer believing. Deepfake technologies have overturned our understanding of reality, blurring the lines between truth and falsification. Today, artificial intelligence algorithms can create a video where a president declares war, or an audio recording where your loved one asks for money to be transferred. And all of this will look eerily authentic. Thousands of fake videos appear online daily, and each year it becomes increasingly difficult to distinguish a fake from the original. A world where our eyes and ears can no longer serve as reliable witnesses gives rise to a new form of vulnerability. Each of us is now a potential target for digital manipulation, and our faces and voices are merely data that can be copied, altered, and used without our knowledge. This technological revolution doesn't just transform the media space, it changes the very foundation of public trust and calls into question the future of our perception of reality. Deepfake technology operates as a digital illusionist, utilizing neural networks and machine learning algorithms to create convincing fakes. At its core is the principle of generative adversarial networks. One network generates an image, while the other evaluates its authenticity. They compete with each other, continuously refining the result until the differences between the fake and the original become virtually imperceptible to the human eye. Modern deepfake systems analyze thousands of facial images, studying facial expressions, the specifics of lip movement when pronouncing different sounds, characteristic expressions, and micro-movements. They can recreate not only appearance but also speech patterns, intonations, and even barely noticeable human habits. The types of fakes range from simple face swaps in videos to completely synthesized characters indistinguishable from real people. Combined methods are particularly dangerous. When a synthesized voice, created from just a few minutes of original speech, is added to a fake video. Voice cloning algorithms can reproduce unique voice features, including accent, speech tempo, and emotional nuances. Such technologies are already being used in telephone scams, where the victim hears the voice of a loved one asking for help. The most alarming thing is that creating a high-quality deepfake no longer requires supercomputers or deep technical knowledge. Mobile applications make this technology accessible to almost everyone, transforming digital forgery from an exotic threat into an everyday reality. Behind digital algorithms lie real human tragedies. The first high-profile victim of deepfake was actress Scarlett Johansson, whose face was superimposed onto dozens of pornographic videos in 2018. "The internet is a giant cesspool that is eating itself," she stated after months of battling the spread of fakes. But while celebrities have resources for protection, ordinary people are left defenseless. Noel Martin, a schoolteacher from Pennsylvania, lost her job after an ex-boyfriend created a deepfake video featuring her. "Even after refutation, colleagues looked at me differently. Parents of students demanded my dismissal. I lost not only my job, but also my reputation," she recalls. The psychological consequences for victims are comparable to real violence. 80% of victims report anxiety disorders, 65% report depression. The story of John Lee from Singapore shows how deepfake destroys not only careers, but also families. A fake video where he allegedly confessed to embezzling corporate funds led to a temporary arrest and divorce, although his innocence was later proven. Technology has outpaced our understanding of its consequences, says psychologist Emily Wang, who specializes in digital trauma. Teenagers are particularly vulnerable. The story of 15-year-old Sophia from Toronto, whose face classmates placed in humiliating content, led to her suicide attempt. Deepfake creates a new kind of digital violence, where the victim is deprived of the ability to control their own image. Politics has always been an arena of manipulation. But deepfake technology has elevated information warfare to a fundamentally new level. In 2019, the world saw a video where Barack Obama called Donald Trump a complete idiot. The fake clip garnered millions of views before it was identified as a hoax. The election campaign in India that same year was marred by the appearance of a video where a prime ministerial candidate allegedly confessed to corrupt dealings. Although the forgery was exposed, public opinion had already formed. The candidate lost about 8% of the votes. The profound danger of such manipulations lies in the first impression effect. Even after repudiation, people retain an emotional trace of what they saw. Studies show that 70% of voters who saw a fake video of a politician retain a negative impression even after the forgery is proven. In Malaysia, an entire political career of the Minister of Education was ruined due to a fake intimate video. Paradoxically, the increasing number of exposed deep fakes creates a new problem: the reality refutation effect, where genuine but compromising recordings are declared fakes. This happened in Brazil, where a real recording of a corrupt conspiracy was successfully discredited as a fake. We are entering an era where truth becomes just one of many possible interpretations, and electoral processes turn into a competition of manipulation technologies rather than political programs. I saw it with my own eyes. For centuries, this phrase served as a synonym for irrefutable proof. Today, however, it loses its weight in a world where our senses are no longer reliable witnesses to reality. We are experiencing a fundamental crisis of trust, where every video, every voice recording or photograph is called into question. Psychologists at Stanford University have discovered an alarming phenomenon. People who regularly encounter deepfake debunkings begin to doubt the authenticity of any information, even reliable information. This total distrust effect leads to informational paralysis, a state where a person refuses to believe anything at all. Professor of media psychology Marcus Stein calls this digital skepticism, a defense mechanism that paradoxically makes us even more vulnerable to manipulation. When we don't believe anything, we are ready to believe anything, especially what confirms our prejudices. Studies show that after watching a debunked deep fake, 72% of people begin to doubt the authenticity of other videos on the same topic. Society is breaking down into information bubbles, where the only criterion for truth becomes adherence to pre-existing beliefs. We are returning to tribal thinking, where trust is limited to a narrow circle of our own. The deep irony lies in the fact that technologies designed to connect the world are creating new barriers between people. Barriers of distrust that are harder to overcome than physical borders. Who am I? Where does my personality end and my digital double begin? In the age of deep fake, these questions cease to be purely philosophical. When your face and voice can exist separately from you, the concept of identity requires rethinking. We are accustomed to considering our image an integral part of our self. But technology severs this connection, transforming identity into a set of data that can be copied and modified without our consent. Professor of Digital Media Ethics Janet Kovac calls this the 21st century splitting of the self, a state where a person exists simultaneously in the physical world and as independent digital doubles. The right to one's own image becomes a fundamental human right, on par with the right to life and liberty. However, the legislation of most countries cannot keep up with technological progress. Who owns your digital self? Can an algorithm use your voice without permission? Do you have the right to control all your digital incarnations? These questions go beyond jurisprudence, touching upon the deep foundations of human dignity. The problem of posthumous use of images becomes particularly acute. Digital doubles of celebrities continue to live after the death of the originals, appearing in advertisements, films, giving new interviews. Is it ethical to resurrect the dead in the digital space? The question of consent turns into a metaphysical dilemma when the subject of consent no longer exists. We stand on the threshold of a new era, where the concept of personality extends beyond the physical body, and the right to self-determination requires protection not only in the material, but also in the digital world. In a world where digital forgeries are becoming increasingly sophisticated, a new profession is emerging: the digital detective. These specialists are armed not with a magnifying glass and a pistol, but with algorithms and software to detect deep fakes. But how can an ordinary person recognize a fake without special skills? The first thing to pay attention to is unnatural eye movements and facial expressions. In most deepfakes, algorithms don't perfectly reproduce blinking. It can be too rare or asynchronous. The hairline often looks blurry or unnaturally sharp. Pay attention to the lighting. Shadows should fall consistently and match light sources. Technological indicators of a fake include compression artifacts around the face, strange skin color transitions, or geometric distortions when the head turns. Moments when the face intersects with other objects, a hand or a microphone, are particularly telling. In such cases, deepfakes often glitch. For more accurate verification, specialized tools exist. The Deepware scanner program analyzes videos and assesses the likelihood of a fake. Microsoft Video Authenticator identifies overlay boundaries and inconsistencies in image texture. Sensity AI offers a free online detector accessible to everyone. However, technical analysis is only part of the solution. Developing critical thinking is no less important. Check the context of the video's appearance, its source, and compare it with other materials. If a video evokes a strong emotional reaction or seems too timely, that's a reason for suspicion. In the digital age, we all become involuntary detectives, forced to verify the authenticity of what we see. This is a new type of literacy that is becoming a necessary survival skill in the information space. In the race of deepfake creation and recognition technologies, a new direction is emerging: a technological shield to protect digital identity. Modern solutions go far beyond simple fake detection, creating a multi-layered system for verifying the authenticity of media content. Blockchain technologies are becoming the foundation of digital credibility. TruePic has implemented a system where every photo at the moment of creation receives a unique cryptographic signature recorded in a distributed ledger. This signature contains metadata about the time, location of the shot, and the device, making forgery virtually impossible. The Amber project applies a similar principle to video content, creating a continuous chain of evidence for the authenticity of each frame. Digital watermarks are markers invisible to the human eye, embedded in images and videos. Adobe's Content Authenticity Initiative technology allows authors to add a protective mark that remains even when the file is edited or recompressed. With any attempt at manipulation, these markers are distorted, signaling interference. Cryptographic verification is reaching a new level with the advent of hardware solutions. Canon has developed cameras with built-in crypto processors that create a secure digital signature for each shot. Microsoft is implementing the Secure Media Pipeline system in Windows, ensuring the integrity of media files at the operating system level. Biometric markers are becoming particularly promising. LifeSign technology analyzes micro-movements of the face, blood pulsation under the skin, and other physiological indicators that cannot be replicated by algorithms. A living person always has a unique biometric fingerprint that cannot yet be accurately imitated. Legislation always lags behind technology, and the case of deepfakes is no exception. We are in a legal labyrinth where old norms are incapable of protecting against new threats. In the United States, the first federal law targeting deepfakes appeared only in 2019. The Deepfakes Accountability Act introduced a requirement to label synthesized content, but the mechanisms for its implementation remain unclear. California went further, banning the distribution of fake political videos 60 days before elections. However, critics point to a conflict with the First Amendment regarding freedom of speech. The European Union included the fight against deepfakes in the Digital Services Act, obliging platforms to label synthetic content, but the issue of cross-border application remains open. China chose a tougher path, introducing criminal liability for creating fake news using artificial intelligence. Paradoxically, in most countries, deepfake victims are forced to seek protection within existing laws on defamation, copyright infringement, or invasion of privacy. This creates a legal absurdity. To prove that a video is fake, one must first prove that they did not commit the actions shown in it. The burden of proof falls on the victim, not on the creator of the fake. A particular difficulty is determining jurisdiction in the digital space. A video created in one country can be stored on servers in another and distributed worldwide. Who should be held accountable? The creator, the platform, or the algorithm? International cooperation in this area is just beginning, and technologies continue to improve. We are at a crossroads. Either create a new legal paradigm for the digital age, or allow technological progress to outpace our ethical and legal boundaries. Art has always balanced on the edge of what is permissible. But deepfake technologies have created an unprecedented ethical dilemma. When director Denis Villeneuve used a digital reconstruction of Anthony Bourdain's voice for a documentary, the public was divided. Some called it a tribute, others digital desecration. Where does the line between creative freedom and the exploitation of another's image lie? The question of using the images of deceased celebrities is particularly acute. When James Dean starred in a new film 65 years after his death, it caused a wave of indignation in the acting community. We're fighting for work, competing with the living. Now we have to compete with the dead too? Said Chris Evans. Digital resurrection raises the question of posthumous consent and personal dignity. Copyright also requires rethinking. When artificial intelligence creates a new song in the style of Bob Dylan, using his voice and characteristic musical techniques, who owns the result? The algorithm creator, the data owner, or the artist whose style was imitated? Some artists see deepfake as a new art form. The Dalinism project uses a recreated image of Salvador Dalí as an interactive guide in a museum. I would approve of this, the creators claim on behalf of the eccentric artist, but can we truly know what deceased creators would have approved of? Perhaps the answer lies not in prohibitions, but in transparency. Labeling synthesized content and educational initiatives can create a space where technological creativity coexists with ethics and respect for human identity. In a world where digital illusions become indistinguishable from reality, education transforms into our primary defensive weapon. Media literacy is no longer a luxury, but a necessity for survival in the information space. Finland was the first country in the world to include deepfake recognition in the school curriculum for children aged 9 and older. Students learn the basic principles of algorithm operation and are taught to identify inconsistencies in video materials through game-based formats. At the university level, interdisciplinary programs are being formed, combining computer science, psychology, and ethics. Stanford's Digital Self-Defense course became the most popular elective in 2022. Students not only study the technical aspects of fake recognition, but also the psychological mechanisms that make us vulnerable to manipulation. It is important to understand, protection from deepfake is not only a technical skill, but also a specific type of thinking. Critical consumption of information requires constant questioning. Who created this content? What is its purpose? Why did it appear now? The educational project Digital Immunity developed the check methodology: origin, reputation, circumstances, verification, unity, reasonableness, clarity. 7 steps for evaluating any digital content. For the older generation, who grew up in an era when seeing was believing, adaptation is particularly challenging. Libraries and community centers are launching Digital Wisdom After 50 programs, where seniors learn to navigate a world where their life experience can become a source of vulnerability. New literacy requires not just knowledge, but also constant practice. Deepfake recognition simulators, where users train to identify fakes, are becoming a popular educational tool. Media literacy is transforming into a collective responsibility. We protect not only ourselves, but also the common information space. We stand on the threshold of a new era, a time when technology and ethics must find a point of equilibrium. The future of truth in the digital world is not predetermined. It depends on the decisions we make today. Technological progress is inevitable, but its direction remains in our hands. Perhaps the most promising solution will be the principle of transparent imitation, the mandatory labeling of any synthetic content regardless of its purpose. This approach preserves the creative potential of technology while protecting people's right to know what they are interacting with. Researchers from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology propose embedding mandatory digital fingerprints into deepfake creation algorithms, invisible markers that will always indicate the artificial origin of the content. This will create a kind of immune system for the information space. Another path is the development of digital identity authentication technologies. Next-generation biometric passports could include secure digital signatures for verifying any content featuring your image. You will be able to confirm or refute the authenticity of a video with your participation with a single tap of your smartphone. But technical solutions are only part of the answer. Social norms and ethical standards are no less important. A new digital ethics is forming, where creating deepfakes without consent becomes as unacceptable as invading privacy. A society armed with knowledge and critical thinking can build a future where technology serves human dignity rather than undermining its foundations.